Welcome to Go Bucks. Guys, it's been way too long since we had a last video. And I was thinking, when was like the last time we actually had a video? When was it? Ohio State had just lost to Michigan, right? And we knew they were going to play Georgia. Michigan was a lock to beat TCU and join Georgia in the national title game. And the Buckeyes, my God, the quarterback was wondering if he was going to make it out of the second round at that point. I mean, so much has actually happened since we last came together and watched this. But hey, Diego, what are you doing? Are you in this show?
I'm just messing with my computer.
It looked like you were shoveling something.
Well, for one, I would call this a show or an episode, not a video. But that's just me.
An episode, a video. It's all right.
Matt, show, I would say.
Matt, how have you been?
I've been all right. The off season is so slow. I just can't wait to get back to football. It's been driving me crazy.
That's right. We have next month. It's in 30 plus days. We're good. We've got football coming on here real soon, and we're going to talk about Buckeye quarterbacks, Michigan running backs, all this JJ hype. I know you guys have probably heard the JJ hype. Number one pick in the draft. So we're going to talk about all that. We've also got a new segment called Epic Moments in the Game, where at the end of the show, we're going to show one epic moment in the Michigan versus Ohio State rivalry. It's going to be painful for one of us and ecstatic for the other, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll take it. We'll look at it. We do that maybe like every show that we do. We'll go around and pick a different epic moment of the game, but we're going to do that. So stay tuned for that. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and please help us out with that. So, Matt, I'm going to go to you first. Like, we've got to talk about the Buckeye quarterback battle, because I think that's probably the most intriguing piece of the puzzle in this offseason. So who have you got? Like, basically, like, if you had to pick right now, gun to your head, who are you picking as a quarterback for Buckeyes?
Probably Lincoln.
Lincoln. What? Who?
He's amazing.
Who?
He's the freshman coming in this year. He's awesome. Have you seen his highlights? He has the most talent of all three, hands down.
I would be looking at.
I thought the kid that was a lock is McCord.
Well, he's the favorite.
No?
He's the one that everyone's talking about and thinks is going to be the starter. But I think Lincoln is going to pull it out.
How do you?
I don't believe you. I don't think that's who you think is going to be starting on day one.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
That's who I don't think he will be starting on day one, but I think he's going to take over at some point. The guy has
way.
Ridiculous
You're basing
talent.
that on nothing.
I'm basing it on one of the best quarterback highlight tapes I've seen since Vince Young.
A quarterback high school highlight tape?
Yes, it's fantastic. You need to watch it.
Where's he from again?
I think it's like, what is it, Oklahoma or something?
No, I think it's in one of the Dakotas.
Nebraska? I don't know. Someplace far away.
It sounds like you know a lot about the guy. Yeah, I don't think I'll be taking that bet. But hey, maybe put down $50 on that one, and you'd shock Vegas. Well, so I'm looking at it, and I mean, I would say Kyle McCord. Personally, I mean, that's of course. I don't know much about the other guy. What's the other guy's name even? Devin
Brown.
Devin Brown, that's right. He's more of a running quarterback. McCord is more of like the polished passer is what I'm guessing. I've seen him play a couple games for the Buckeyes, and he looked pretty good. But, I mean, it's almost like, what's the floor for any Ohio State quarterback? What, all Big Ten? It almost like, yeah, I mean, their offense, Ryan Day's offense is so prolific that I almost wouldn't even bat an eyelash to like whoever took that job. The receivers are amazing. You know your offensive line is going to get worked out. Whether you have running backs that are healthy or not, I think the quarterback's going to play amazing. I mean, I just feel that. I just feel that way. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, can I interject real quick?
Let's go.
I just want to say how clueless Matt is. The guy that he loves and that he's talking like all this crap about, like starting as a freshman, is from Arizona. You weren't even close. You were across the freaking country. I mean,
somewhere in the West.
That's embarrassing. You said Oklahoma.
I'm a little rusty.
Yeah, with your geography or with your knowledge of the Buckeyes? Which one?
Yes, with my knowledge of the recruits.
So
but anyway, I know his highlight tape. I was slightly joking about him starting. I mean, I think that he's going to be a star at Ohio State. And one of the reasons why I was excited, though, and like a lot of people think McCord is going to start just because, well, for two reasons. Number one, he actually played last year. He was a 5-star recruit, and because Devin Brown was hurt right now. So I think a lot of the writers have sort of given it to McCord just because I think mostly really because of the injury and the playing, I think really the injury, but the injury hasn't been that bad. Like he's still able to do a lot of practicing right now, Devin Brown. And one of the things I was going to bring up was Ryan Day. I mean, he learned this lesson a little bit too late, but it's important to have a quarterback who can run consistently. And he said that he was going to have more of an emphasis on the quarterback run this year after realizing, the whole season last year, CJ, no one knew he could run. And then he finally ran against Georgia and almost beat them. And, imagine if he would have had that all year, especially against Michigan. I mean, our defense still probably would have lost, but would have made it a little bit more competitive when you have a quarterback who can run like that. I mean, you've even been seeing CJ in the preseason, not preseason, but like, in the practices right now in the NFL, like he's running, has a lot of awesome clips already. So, Dave saying he wants more of an emphasis on the run. It's not just the running backs. I think, with a new starting quarterback, we're going to be doing much more of an emphasis on the running backs also. But I think that we're going to have the quarterback run coming back like JT Barrett used to do a little bit too much back in the day. But I think that's where we're going to be going towards. And Devin Brown is the quarterback that's better suited for running until Lincoln is ready. Anyway,
that's
from Arizona. Lincoln from Arizona.
But don't you already know who the quarterback is? It's basically August 1st. I mean, you can't tell me that if you're on Bucknuts, they're not basically giving everybody the 411 on exactly who the starter is right now.
I think it just depends on if Devin Brown gets healed up by the time the season starts. I think he has a legit chance to get it.
I'm saying, okay, I'm not saying that he can't overtake McCord if McCord plays terribly. But what I'm saying is I can't imagine basically at the beginning of August, 1 month before the season starts.
No, I know. It's definitely tough at this point.
Yeah, I think they know who the starter is. It's got to be McCord.
I agree, Diego. I think it's McCord too for some of those reasons. And this is kind of a cheap reason, but I feel like if you've got a 5-star quarterback and it's versus a 4-star quarterback and it's kind of even, and plus that 5-star quarterback has one more year in the system, I just think that's the guy. Because first of all, one more year in the system, sure. And he looked pretty good in the games that I've seen him play in. McCord, I'm talking about. Plus, you want to play your 5-star guys. Otherwise, how is that going to look to other 5-star quarterbacks coming in? Like, oh, hey, 5-star guy came in. And I know that's a little bit conspiracy theory.
How many stars was Marvin Harrison?
Yeah, I know. But he's a receiver.
Not a 5-star.
I think that
he wasn't
rated that highly, Diego.
He was still the son of the murderer. You knew he was going to start early.
Yeah,
he did not get much hype at all.
No, he did. He really didn't. And he was low ranked, and he ended up being awesome. But I think Kyle McCord was his quarterback in high school too, right?
I was just going to say that. That was the other thing. They do have that camaraderie and his experience throwing to each other for a long time.
McCord, I think, is going to have every opportunity to start. Yeah. He's probably going to start at the beginning. And then maybe what will happen is it'll all fall apart. But I'll tell you what, if Lincoln, what's his name, from Nebraska is starting anywhere at point in this year, the Buckeye, I think something's terrible happened with the Buckeyes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
At that point, Ryan Day has chosen to go to the NFL mid-season. Yeah. And like, who's coming in to coach?
Brian is going to be watching the first 5 minutes of this, and he's going to be shaking his head like that moron.
Hey, by the way, I love that none of you guys even commented on the fact that I called Marvin Harrison Sr. the murderer. You guys just glossed over it like it's.
I don't know what you mean by that. I didn't read the tabloids back then.
Dude, he is an absolute murderer.
He doesn't look like a murderer. He looks really like a nice guy.
Yeah, well, guess what? He's not. He shot somebody for sure.
Oh, well, maybe it was self-defense.
Allegedly.
Okay. All right, next subject. For you guys, okay, this is in sort of like the Michigan area. Who do you guys think is a better running back, Donovan Edwards or Blake Corum? Oh,
did you watch the game last year?
I watched all the games last year.
The guy is an absolute amazing player. He's a superstar. He's going to be potentially a first-round pick, and running backs rarely go in the first round anymore. He's definitely going to go higher than Corum. I mean, but that's irrelevant
I wouldn't say definitely. What makes you say he'll go higher?
From everything I've read, the scouts are way higher on him than Corum.
What? Because of the measurables? Because Corum's a little midget.
The breakaway speed.
Yeah,
breakaway speed.
Corum's a midget. I think. Corum?
Honestly, if you've watched them both run, I've seen both of them break away, and they've both been caught from behind. And I think you're right, though. Edwards is probably a little bit faster in the open field, a little bit. I wouldn't give him that much faster. But I think we're having, what is that called? Recency bias. Because, man, Blake Corum, I still think that Michigan wins that game against TCU if they have Blake Corum. Like, Blake Corum is one of those types of running backs that can run behind an imperfect block. He's just really, really good. He'll still get.
Can I call a timeout real quick? So wasn't one of our topics later going to be something about your stupid quarterback being the number one pick in the draft or some nonsense like that? He's the reason you lost, not your running back. He had two pick sixes in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Watching the game, though, that really was a terrible run. It was a terrible blocking game overall from the Michigan offensive line. It was bad.
By the way, just real quick before we move on to whatever the hell you're about to say, Blake Corum ran a 40 in 4.4, and I like Edwards better, so I'm trying to just be transparent here or honest about things. Blake Corum ran a 40 in 4.44. Edwards 40-yard dash time 4.55.
Oh, so was that from high school?
So it doesn't say for Donovan Edwards, but for Corum, I think it was a high school leading into college time.
Okay, so different years, but they clocked their 40 times back then.
A significant difference.
Wasn't Edwards yards per carry way higher last year?
It was higher. He had a lot less. Edwards was injured quite a bit of the season last year. He's a little bit injury prone, but he even had an arm cast when he was playing Ohio State.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, he
did that against us with one arm. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. with his right arm, he's right-handed. In his right arm.
It's so ridiculous, and that's really tough as a running back.
And if you look at those two huge runs, and nothing against Donovan Edwards at all, because I think he is amazing, and he will go higher in the draft. I don't think either one's a first-round pick, but I think he will go higher in the draft. But those two runs that Michigan did against Ohio State, I don't care which running back was back there. If they picked the same hole, they were both gone.
Okay, so, one more thing. So NFL draft buzz that is, probably measuring 40 times at the same exact moment in time. I don't know when they do it, but they have Blake Corum as 4.38 40. And
there's no way he's going under 4.4 as a running back.
And they have Donovan Edwards. And by the way, they have Donovan Edwards not only at 4.55, but they have Donovan Edwards as not as high a draft prospect as Corum. Corum is an 87 rating. Edwards is an 83.7.
Interesting. Thanks for doing the stats.
Corum is the better prospect and faster.
Yeah, on one website. Everywhere I've read,
on one website, he's
Corum way lower.
He's faster on every website. Okay,
we're gonna find out at the combine, though.
Huh?
Yeah,
we're gonna find out at the combine.
No, I was talking about his draft rating, though. I thought everything I heard had him going higher.
I'm just telling you. Yes, on this website.
What is the yards per carry for both of them, Diego? Do you have that?
This is actually more measurables and rating for the NFL.
Well, pull up the yards per carry real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, pull that up. But I just think Blake Corum he's a better overall running back than Donovan Edwards. You know what I mean? Like he's just better inside. He's got better vision. He's got better movement inside. He jiggles. I mean, he's just really good. He's a great running back, I think. Donovan Edwards is really versatile, though. He's great. He could be just as good of a receiver, I think, as he is a running back. And
that's the other thing that helps with the NFL too. You're going to get. That's why Jamar Gibbs got picked in the first
round.
In
the NFL, that's so important.
Yeah,
it is.
So much, that's a huge part of your draft stock. So that could be the difference.
Not even that Corum is bad catching the ball out of the backfield. He just doesn't do it.
He's not going to be elite like
may not be elite.
Edwards.
Edwards goes deep. I mean, he's a guy that's caught deep balls. So,
NFL will love that.
So Corum, the last 2 seasons, yards per carry 6.6 and 5.9, which to me is not exceptional. 6.6 is getting there, but 5.9 not so much.
What are you talking about?
Their yards per carry, or Corum's yards per carry. So Donovan Edwards, now it could be some short yardage stuff that maybe they're making him do. I don't know, but
they ran the heck out of Corum last year, and I hope they don't do that again for his sake. Because they were just running him all the time.
5.9 in college is nothing to write home about.
No.
So last year, for 991 yards, Donovan Edwards ran, and he was 7.1 yards per carry.
That Buckeye game helped him.
Matt's got a point there.
Yeah.
And I do think Donovan Edwards is better, but according to at least that one site, Blake Corum is the higher rated prospect, and definitely significantly faster.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. So, okay, next topic. So this is about the Buckeyes. Matt, or let's actually go to Diego real quick on this. Let's see what your thoughts on this, and then Matt will school you on something. He'll talk about someone who's not really from where he is. So, biggest improvement the Buckeyes need to make to win the Big Ten. Like, where is it? Like, I mean, they need a lot, right? They've got.
You need issues. To be. With your question, you should say specifically, not generally.
Well, I mean,
everyone knows it's defense, so
hold on.
Be specific in your answer.
Okay,
yeah, like if you're going to name some.
I was going to say it's defense, and I was going to be very general because everyone knows I'm the Terps guy. I'm not the Buckeyes or the Wolverines guy. I'm not supposed to know a ton, but I do know that McCord is going to be the starter for the Buckeyes. I do know that much. And I think maybe our supposed Ohio State expert should be somebody other than that. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I don't know. Oklahoma, Arizona, no difference.
The Oklahoma Buckeyes.
So as far as I know, the Buckeyes aren't that great on defense because my Terps took it to them last year, but for the end of the game, that was like a 4-point game, I think, or something until the end.
Yeah. Your offense was fantastic in that game.
Yeah. So I would concur with defense, but I don't know enough about the Buckeyes defense to say what exactly the problem is. The secondary apparently was kind of the problem against Maryland last year. I know that much.
Yeah, they were the problem against everybody.
Yeah, and is it really the defense? I mean, obviously the defense needs to improve, but is that really cost them from?
No, but this year they have a new quarterback. This year they have a new quarterback, so it could be the offense that is more the problem this year than last year. You know what I mean? Like it could be that the offense trumps becomes the problem, and the defense actually becomes the more solid unit because we don't know what McCord is. And we don't know what this guy from fucking Oklahoma or Arizona is if he starts. So, I mean, how many returning wide receivers do you have? That's
a lot.
Other question.
All of them.
I thought a bunch of them went to the pros. No,
we have 2 first-rounders at wide receiver at a minimum.
No, I know, but how many left in 2023 to the pros? I know in 2022 you had a bunch.
Just Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But he didn't really play last year anyway. So
he was hurt. I know.
Yeah. Imagine if he played against Georgia, man. That would have been the difference. That guy's so good.
Okay, so maybe the wide
I'm
receivers.
still salty about that.
Maybe the wide receivers are every bit as good or better, but I still think the quarterback is.
They'll be. Yeah. Well, no, it's still. I still don't think the quarterback. It's good as CJ was. I still don't think the quarterback's the biggest factor. But anyway, before I get to that, let's get back to his actual question, which is the biggest. It's going to be almost definitely the secondary. As you were saying, you noticed against Maryland. It's not that. I don't even think that the secondary was playing super poorly against Maryland. I thought your receivers just made really awesome plays in that game, and we were at the game, and your receivers were just balling. I mean, they were doing really well, and
our wide receivers were the biggest disappointment on the team last year.
I know, but they played awesome in that game. I mean. But anyway, but that's the thing. Last year, I would almost say that the defensive line was more of a liability than the secondary because, while our secondary wasn't good, and it wasn't, they had all day to throw. I mean, we were getting zero pressure all year last year. Everyone had all day to throw. So even good corners have a hard time when you give them all day, right? So. According to everything I've read, we have a ton of depth coming back on defensive line, and everyone is supposedly way better. And it's the second year of the defensive coordinator's scheme, and they know what they screwed up on and what changes to make. So apparently, the defensive line and linebackers are supposed to be a major strength. And really, it's going to be. Do we have like some safeties and a good number 2 corner that are going to be good enough to be not a liability this year? And then the other big question mark is not even on the defense. It's just we lost 2 unbelievable offensive tackles and a great center too. So we had to replace 3 offensive linemen. I'm pretty worried about that. I mean, way more than the quarterback. I think losing, having 2 new tackles come in, and I'm not super excited about any of the tackles on our roster. That has me worried way more than the quarterback. So, I mean, no matter how good your quarterback is, that's the other thing. It's like McCord may be the better quarterback, but if he's getting sacked left and right because our new tackles and new center, you're going to have to put in Devin Brown or Lincoln Kienholz because they're going to be running for their life, at least against the decent defenses.
Well,
is that even how you pronounce his name?
What,
Lincoln Kienholz?
This guy you know so well.
Isn't he a senior though?
Who?
Isn't Kienholz a senior?
Oh, he's a true freshman, I think, right?
True freshman, yeah.
No, I thought that was the other guy. I thought that was the guy that you thought was from Oklahoma.
No, he's going to be a freshman this year.
Oh, Kienholz is a freshman. Devin Brown's a sophomore. Okay, for some reason I thought he was a senior. Okay, yeah. So I still don't see either one of those guys taking McCord's job, because McCord is going to be decent enough with all the talent around him.
Yeah, assuming he has time to throw.
I just don't see them benching him if he's halfway decent. He's got too much talent.
Yeah, it is hard. Most coaches won't bench a quarterback once the season has started unless they lose. Right. So we don't have any hard games early either. So I think it would be, as Nate said, a major disaster would have to happen for us to switch quarterbacks. And, sort of, I guess, an outside chance that Devin Brown has enough time to heal up and get caught up on all his reps and everything. But, I mean, apparently he's been throwing, because I think it was a leg injury. I forget what exactly the injury was that Devin Brown had, but he's been throwing, so, for a while.
Right. Yeah, so where do you see the running game being as an important part about how they're going to perform this year, the Buckeyes? Like, to me, that was like the biggest sore thumb that was sticking out all of last year, just because they couldn't close out. And I'm just looking, and I'm just thinking about the games against Michigan and Georgia, where they were not able to close out any. They weren't about Michigan. They were kind of out of the game at that point, so I know they were passing a lot. But against Georgia, the running game, if they could have maybe had Travion, that might have actually helped them get over the hump there. And I think we mentioned, like in our texts a little while ago, the last 2 games Ohio State played, they got outscored by Michigan 28-3 in the second half, and they got outscored by Georgia 18-3 in the fourth quarter. So it really sounds like, at least against the top teams, Ohio State has an offense problem somewhere.
Well, Marvin Harrison was injured in that fourth quarter.
Not
Georgia.
Against Michigan, though.
Against Michigan, I think I don't even know. I don't know. It was just a complete disaster in the second half.
Yeah, it was 28-3. But it's kind of a. I mean, I know Marvin Harrison was hurt, but Ohio State's offense is still prolific even without him. Like, they should have been able to muster more than 3 points in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a pattern, at least in those two games against the top team.
This is Nate rubbing it in without rubbing it in.
No, it really isn't. This is, to me, I think, what I was just getting to a point about the running game. I tend to think the running game might be the most important piece of the puzzle. And
yeah, I mean, last year was injuries. I mean, it wasn't the running backs were bad. Whenever the running backs were healthy, whoever was healthy did well. Like, we had 5 running backs last year, and like everyone got hurt. I've never in my life watching Ohio State football from 95 on have I seen like us using a 5th string running back. That's crazy.
Yeah.
By the way,
do you remember though?
Real quick, am I the only one drinking?
Do you remember the beginning of the season last year? Like, Ryan Day realized he needed to run the ball. You guys closed out Notre Dame by running the ball. It was beautiful. It had me worried. Like, you closed out Wisconsin by running the ball. Like, and something fell off at some point. I don't know where in the season, but I remember the beginning of the season last year. It was like, okay, Ryan Day is being prolific everywhere. He's not just trying to throw. And I thought that maybe he had put together a really balanced offense where he was going to be able to run and pass, and they were going to be hard to beat because of that. Because obviously a running game protects your defense too. They close out games.
Nate,
and
at what
that fourth quarter. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Diego.
No, I was just going to say, at what point did you notice that Ohio State's running game wasn't the same?
Well, with the injuries, I think.
Yeah, they all got hurt.
Like
a few games into the year.
That's what I'm asking. I'm asking, how did that go from, Ohio State's running game being such a key part of their offense to all of a sudden not?
So who's the other running back? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. There's Travion Henderson, and who's the other guy?
Well, let's see. We have 5. 5 guys. They all played, in my opinion, equally.
Well,
Mayan Williams. He was rolling over people in the beginning of the season. Notre Dame, he had a bunch of yards, and he crushed Notre Dame running the ball in the fourth quarter. Same thing happened against Wisconsin. Mayan Williams was bowling ball, had great yards per carry, and I think he got injured too. And that's kind of what happened.
He was hurt against Georgia too. We didn't really have a running back that was healthy against Georgia. So
I mean, I feel like a lot of problems would be solved for the Buckeyes if that running game had continued.
I mean, we almost beat Georgia without a running back. I mean, that's crazy.
With a lot of running backs, just not really any dominant ones.
No, I mean, like, no healthy running back. I mean, he started, I think, and then he last like a few carries, and then he was done. I mean, we had to end up going with the 5th stringer for most
against
of that
Michigan
game.
too. Against Michigan too.
Where is Ohio State, Michigan this year?
It's at Michigan.
We should go.
Good idea.
I'm dead serious.
Last time I went, it was a big loss for Ohio State. That was unfortunate.
Okay,
2013.
Can you?
I know it would. Yeah, it would be fun.
Can you guys convince your wives?
Yeah, probably. It's really more about getting tickets to that game.
Why?
Or we don't have to get tickets. We could just go there and tailgate.
No, well, either way we go, and I'd say we pay $200, whatever, $250 if we have to. And
I think the key is
it would be more than that. $200 to go to the Michigan versus Ohio State game.
$250
to do what? What do you plan on doing when you would get there?
Wait,
Are we going to knock on someone's door and ask them if we can watch the game with them?
It's 100,000 people in that stadium. You think it's going to be more than $250?
It might be.
All right, well, we pay $300, whatever.
So I would normally say wait until like Michigan drops the game they shouldn't, but their schedule is a complete joke this year, so I don't think that's going to happen. So maybe if Ohio State,
we can get to that later. The schedules.
We're grown-ass men in our late 40s. I think we can handle a fucking $300 bend over, take it in the ass situation.
I'm saying it's going to be a lot more than $300.
No, it isn't. To get into a stadium with 100,000 people, come on. No way.
That game is really pricey, Diego.
There's no way it's more than $300 a minute for like the worst ticket. No way.
I don't know. At Ohio State,
right.
No freaking way, dude.
We'll look into it though. I mean, maybe we might be at a corner of the end zone, but we might be able to.
I don't give a shit. Let's just get in the door.
All right, we got to get to our next topic. So Buckeye defensive line. I got to talk to you guys about that because there is so much hype. The hype for the Buckeye defensive line is almost equal to that of JJ hype. And I question both of them. Like I question both of them.
I have not heard anywhere near as much hype as there is. The JJ hype is everywhere.
Oh, there's going to be first rounders all over that defensive line. Maybe 4 first rounders on that defensive line this year. That's what I've been hearing. And I'm just wondering where that's coming from because the defensive line, based on stars, JT Tuimoloau, I think I almost said that right. And Jack Sawyer, 2 top 10 overall recruits. And how many sacks did JT have last year? I think it was 3.5 sacks as a sophomore.
I think 4.5, and 3 of them were in one game.
Yeah. If JT hadn't had that Penn State awesome game, we would have been talking about him being a bust. That's what would be the narrative right now. It's Diego's just walking away.
I thought he was a bust outside of that game. Like everyone was just talking about him like he was amazing, but he had really one amazing game, and the rest of the year was just okay. Yeah.
So where's this defensive line talk coming from that it's going to be? Not that it couldn't be. Honestly, they could put it all together this year and be awesome.
Yeah, it's just usually the third year for the player. We have a lot of upperclassmen on the defensive line, and that's usually when it really hits and clicks. Because you look at Chase Young and Joey Bosa. Usually that third year is when they usually go crazy. Every now and then, as a sophomore, you go crazy, but usually the junior year is when you really break out.
I'm trying to think of anyone that had a bad to, like average second year. Did Joey Bosa have a good second year? Pretty sure he was awesome. Yeah. Like Nick Bosa.
Well, he got hurt. Nick Bosa didn't really play that much for Ohio State because he got hurt.
In his third
year. Yeah.
His second year, he was awesome, and even in his first year, he was awesome. Like a defensive end, 5-star defensive end at Ohio State is doing awesome things even as a freshman. So I disagree on the third year thing. Not to say Jack Sawyer and JT couldn't come out at some point and do awesome. They might. I might eat my words on this, but I'm going to have to see it to believe it at this point. Because they've kind of been busts. Maybe. Oh, are you signaling? Oh, you're going dark. What's going on, Matt? Your lights changed. Now Matt's got to walk away now. I thought only Diego walked away.
I had to turn the light back on.
I had to walk away for that.
You did not walk away from a live studio broadcast to put on a new shirt.
Or jersey.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I was the only one talking about the Buckeye defensive line. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Well, I think they're going to be pretty good this year. I think they were a disaster last year and one of the biggest problems on the team. If they're not good this year, I think that everyone needs to get fired because you can't have multiple top 10 recruits from high school and supposedly the best defensive line coach in the country and still have another bad year at defensive line. I think this is it, or Larry Johnson's going to be gone.
Is Will Smith Jr. the son of Will Smith?
Yeah.
Did Will Smith die? Am I
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Wasn't sure if that was the guy who I was thinking of.
Diego, you're someone I would think would be all over that with those 2 top defensive guys. They were Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau were both top. I think they were top 5 overall.
I remember them as recruits, but I
was scared to death when they went to Ohio State. I was like, oh shit, those 2 guys are going to wreak havoc for 3 straight years.
Listen, Ohio State gets 5 stars every year, and they're a great team. But let's be honest. they barely beat Maryland, and Maryland's full of 2s and 3s. So you never know with the recruit how good the recruits are going to be. And there's coaching. There's a million elements that come into play in any game. So I don't know. I mean, I don't put a lot of stock in a 5-star recruit until I see it on the field, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and we have seen them on the field, and JT did have an amazing game against Penn State. It was like for the ages. What he did.
Who the best player on the defense was early in the year? It would have had to be Michael Hall Jr. Like if you watch like the first quarter of the season, he was just like in the backfield every play, and then at some point, like I don't know, game 6 or something, he got injured and was never. He had like an ankle or something, and as a big defensive tackle who relies on speed to get his pressures, you can't have an ankle injury linger for the rest of the year, and so that really hurt.
He should have a bounce back season then.
Yeah. So he's supposed to be. I mean, he was the best lineman we had. He was better than JT Tuimoloau. And the other one that's really good is what's his name, Tyleik Williams, but he didn't play much either. He had a low snap count, and I don't know how much of that was because he was a young guy, or if it was because they didn't trust him in more. I don't know. I mean, I every time the guy was in, he was making plays. I'm not sure why he didn't play more. It seems like it was one of the biggest gripes that fans have had. You have these guys that are super disruptive and they're not getting very many snaps, and then other guys that are seniors that aren't doing anything are starting for some reason.
Well, I mean, there could be, I don't know. Like sometimes people put too much stock in sacks, for example. Just because a guy's not getting sacks doesn't mean he's not a good defensive end. And, it could be that he's good against.
Well, no, I mean, there were people that were ahead of him last year that didn't get drafted. So these weren't like elite players.
Oh, come on. Who was ahead of him that didn't get drafted? Who on the? I think
Ohio State doesn't get drafted? Vincent, who was a 5-star, and he didn't get drafted
at all. Wow.
I don't think so. I can double check.
Wow, I'm sure he's on an NFL roster as a walk-on or not walk-on, as a free agent, undrafted free agent, I'm sure. But
yeah, he went undrafted. He was invited to the Buffalo Bills for their rookie camp, and he later signed with the Rams. So he's at least on an NFL team, but
I agree, Mudfoot. Go blue, baby.
Mudfoot. Wow. That's an interesting handle.
It's good. So okay, let's get on to our next one. We got to talk about the JJ hype because it's I think is even ridiculous. I mean, granted, he had an awesome game against Ohio State, awesome game, and I think there's probably some talk.
Read off the stats from the game. I don't think I would say it's awesome.
He only completed half. He only completed half of his passes.
He had a few big plays where our defensive backs fell.
Oh, we had a few big plays for 3 touchdown passes and one rushing.
Where the DBs like fell down and stuff, or completely tripped over themselves. Like they were awful.
Yeah, he still had to complete the passes though.
I know, but they were like wide open passes. They weren't. There's certain times where quarterbacks make an elite throw, and you're like, wow, that's a great throw. And against Ohio State, it was like, wow, the corner fell down again.
Actually, that very first one, the first one that the first pass JJ made with the first touchdown. Who was the DB that fell down?
I think I forget who it was.
Well, while he's thinking of that, JJ was 12 for 24 for 263 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, half of his passes, but 3 of them went for touchdowns. So, I mean, he scored 4 touchdowns in the game. He had a great game, despite his completion percentage. I mean, it was at Ohio State.
Great game.
It was his first year starting. I mean, give the guy a break.
Great game.
He won the game.
Come on. Yeah, quarterbacks. Okay, don't get me started on quarterbacks and wins. Okay? Quarterbacks are the single most important position in terms of winning, no doubt, but they do not win and lose games on their own.
No, of course not.
22 starters that make a difference as to who wins and who loses. And when you have a great team or a better team than the opposition, you're going to probably win, and you could be a shitty quarterback. I mean, let's be honest. The Redskins, my hometown professional sports team, the Redskins, can you name any of their 3 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks?
No, I can't remember. But
Can you,
I should
can
be
you,
able
Matt?
to.
Can
I
you,
should
Matt?
be able to, though. I'm a football fan, and I
One is
can't.
Doug Williams. One is Mark Rippon. Okay.
Oh,
And
yeah, I forgot.
I would argue they're dog shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the third one is Joe Theismann, who had a very good career, but is not even a Hall of Famer. Okay. 3 Super Bowl wins, 0 Hall of Famers. Eli Manning, another example. A guy who won 2 Super Bowls, not a Hall of Famer. He may end up being one because his name is Manning. But, dude, wins are not solely,
Yes, I know. Winning is secondary to the stats, right?
Huh? You don't win because your quarterback is great. You win because your team is great.
Yeah, I get your point. But I'm just saying also, JJ, that very first touchdown he threw, it wasn't a touchdown because the DB did fall down. And then the receiver was just running wild because no one was back there. But JJ still made an awesome throw on that. They were coming in an all-out blitz. He was throwing off his back foot, and he zinged the ball.
That one play, I will give him credit on that. That was a nice throw with pressure.
Well.
He threw 2 perfect passes to wide open receivers, which you expect, right?
Yeah.
But he still completed them at Ohio State in his first year starting. So you got to give the guy the credit.
I give the guy the credit for playing well, but he was not the star of the game. He did not have an amazing game.
There were multiple stars in that game.
The offensive line was the star of the game, and the running back was the number 2 star of the game.
Yeah, very true. And I can't even remember where I got thrown off here. I mean, the JJ hype, and I think it's too much hype. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So is there anyone outside of Michigan that's hyping him up?
I don't know. I think there's actually some NFL scouts that have him as a first-round quarterback and possibly number 1. But who knows about these NFL scouts? They say a lot of stuff. But I mean, it's all going to depend on how he plays, of course. But he just got done shatting the bed against TCU. That's the thing, and that's my recency bias. That's what I'm remembering is 2 pick sixes against TCU. And then you're going to turn around and tell everyone that this guy is going to be a first-round quarterback, and it could happen. I mean, he could take a big leap. I don't think he's generational, which is what Jim Harbaugh said, because that's kind of a big word to use for a guy that's just got done shedding the bed.
Read his stats for the year, too.
Okay, 2,719 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 79.1 QBR.
That's bad.
It's not bad. That's good.
For college football, it's not good.
No, it's good for college football. It's not.
So
great.
if you rank that QBR against every starting quarterback in football last year, what is it like? What is it?
It's good.
It's not even close to the top.
I'm not saying it is.
It's not.
But you're underestimating.
I'm saying the hype is not. It's not warranted for those stats.
No,
but I mean, if you're going to compare QBRs to where your draft status is, I mean, we could have this conversation about some of the quarterbacks that were taken pretty high this year.
By the way, for the record, his QBR was higher than Talia's. Talia's was 69.6.
Wow, that's really bad. I didn't know he was that bad.
Not really bad. That's my point. Is you're wrong. You're wrong. Talia's was decent, and his was even better. His was good.
Well, how does that rank? Or you have a let's see in the whole country here.
No, I don't have a list. I don't have the list of every quarterback in the rankings, but I'm just telling you, 70. What was it? He had a 79. That's pretty good. It's not bad.
So number 1 was C.J. Stroud, 177 passing efficiency.
Huh?
I said C.J. was number 1 at 177 passing efficiency.
That's efficiency.
Yeah, I know. It's not QBR. Let's see where JJ was 154, so he was 22nd. Higher than I thought.
Efficiency. We're not talking about QBR, dude. What's the point of mentioning efficiency? That's not.
Yeah, I think QBR takes into account touchdowns to interceptions and all that.
Well, efficiency probably does too. It's just a different. It's a different
measurement, but I think that the QBR takes in more stats.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But in any case, I mean, while you guys are looking that up, like I think JJ could very well hit the hype train and he could meet it, but I don't know how we've gotten to this point now in the season. Usually you wait until a quarterback has played a few games through the season and they overperform and then you come to this.
JJ was number 16. No, wait,
Okay, that's not bad.
Hold on. Yeah. So CJ was at 87.7. He was number 3 behind Hendon Hooker at 89 and Jalen Daniels at 90.
Okay, there you go. You totally underestimated how good the Michigan quarterback's rating was. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's better than I thought. I'm surprised.
Yeah, McCarthy. I knew that number was
generational quarterback. My bad.
I don't. No, don't say that.
No one's saying that.
That's like a curse.
He had a very good season. He just wasn't a superstar last year.
Yeah, not numbers wise.
Yeah,
not numbers wise, but yeah, I think that he could get to that point. But yeah, I think it's just a little early. I mean, what are your thoughts, Matt, just overall on JJ and what he's going to do this year?
Do you guys have any good receivers this year?
We have good receivers, not superstar, not Ohio State.
When was the last time you guys had an elite receiver?
Donovan Peoples-Jones and Nico Collins, and that was wasted in 2019 with Shea Patterson as quarterback with limp noodle arm. And also Jim Harbaugh just wasn't really running the offense very well back then.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that you guys haven't had any elite receivers recently. To
go along with the quarterback.
Even if he is,
get them the ball.
Even if he is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, like he just doesn't have a lot of. It seems like he doesn't, outside of the tight end. It seems like he doesn't have very many receivers to throw to. It's just the thing is, the other thing that's helping him a lot, in my opinion, is his ability to run and a great offensive line and the best 1-2 duo at running back in the country. So like you have that, it just makes your job super easy because everyone is 80% of the time focusing on the run game. So as long as you don't suck, you're going to be doing really well in that situation.
Yeah, very true. Okay, next topic. So I want to get to a little bit of recruiting. So the Buckeyes just lost, what is his name? Jonte Gilbert. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. Thank you, Diego, for posting that up. That hurts. The guy, what did he go to back to Georgia?
He's not committed yet.
But tough getting guys out of Georgia, right?
Yeah, he opened his commitment back up.
Gotcha. And then there's terrible news. I mean, Buckeyes got bad news and then good news, but this is really terrible news for Michigan fans. Aaron Scott picked the Buckeyes. Did I read that right?
Yeah.
Or what was I just
no,
stroking out?
He picked the Buckeyes at 6:15 p.m. tonight.
Oh, you know the time? You even know the 6:15?
Yeah, he doesn't know. Well, he doesn't know his recruits where they're from, but he knows the time they fucking commit.
Well, I haven't read about Lincoln in about a year, so.
Well,
the recruitment.
Think about like Michigan recruiting right now, and with Jim Harbaugh bouncing around and wanting to go to the NFL. I mean, it's amazing Michigan's recruited as well as they had. Because if I was a top recruit, or if I was a parent of a top recruit, I don't know that I would want to send my kid to Michigan with the head coach just flirting with trying to get out of his job, basically, and trying to take another job. So I really don't blame any kid who decides not to go to Michigan. It's disappointing.
Yeah, but there's a transfer portal now. So if Harbaugh decides to go to the NFL, you can just go in the portal. So I don't think.
Yeah, but that's a pain in the ass. Think about how much of a pain that for us. That seems really like, hey, just go to the portal. But think about the kid that actually has to go to school and then actually go through that
all
process.
Your classes, go through all the.
No, he's excited.
I mean, that sucks.
He's excited because someone's going to offer him $2 million if he's a stud.
He can get that now.
No, what I'm saying is Michigan isn't always the number one school that in terms of the amount that can be offered. So when they leave Michigan because they're pissed about Harbaugh, they have the entirety of college football to try and, see who would pay them the most. So there's a level of excitement there, I would say.
Even with the transfer portal, though, I have to believe that every kid is trying to pick the school that they're going to be at for 3 to 4 years, though, right?
No, 100%.
I mean, they might have in the back of their head, if I don't like it, I can leave. But essentially, they're picking the school that they really actually want to be at for the next 3 to 4 years.
100%. But let's say Harbaugh leaves after year 2 and you started as a sophomore and you had a really good season and Michigan wasn't going to increase whatever your NIL money was going to be. They were sticking at whatever the number was from your freshman year on. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, fuck that. I want to leave because Harbaugh's gone. And you go into the transfer portal and all of a sudden Alabama's offering you triple.
But maybe Alabama doesn't have a spot for you anymore. That's not guaranteed. Maybe your number 2 was Alabama and you picked Michigan and then Jim Harbaugh leaves. And now you've got to be like, I'm going to try to go back to Alabama. Maybe to say, well, sorry, we already filled your position with some other 5-star kid.
No, I mean,
you know what I mean?
I'm giving an example. I think there's always going to be a school that's in need of your position that's capable of offering big money. And I think a lot of times after you've proven yourself in college, your chances are probably better if you leave your school and go to another one after you have a good season. That's all I'm saying.
That's totally possible. I agree. It's totally possible. I just feel like when a kid's trying to go to school, I still, as a parent, I wouldn't want that to be like something he should be doing, like transferring. He needs to go to the school. I would say, hey, I'm not sending you to Michigan because I don't know if the coach is going to be there. And we don't know, they might love the position coach that he has. And if the head coach leaves, that position coach likely won't be there with a new coach. I mean, there's so much to think about that. I think it's a lot of negatives for Harbaugh right now. It's one of the reasons why I think he's probably going to leave after this year.
Really?
Honestly, I think he will. Hey, have you guys looked? I mean, we can start talking about the schedules because I want to touch on that because I wanted to give Maryland a compliment, but I don't want to do it right now. I've got to work myself up to that. But so I think that if you guys seen next year's, like the 2024 schedule for Michigan at all, they play UCLA and USC at Ohio State. I think they play Wisconsin too. That Harbaugh's out of there, dude. There's no way he's going to go into that without. I mean, JJ McCarthy will probably go to the NFL. All those offensive linemen, they're all like 6th-year seniors. They're probably going to be gone. I really think Harbaugh's gone after this. I mean, that's. I think that's where I would put my money.
He doesn't want to have to go through a reloading again with all the routines.
And he wants out anyway. Obviously, he's been doing this game for 2 years now, trying to go to the NFL. If someone would just offer him the job in the NFL, granted, someone's got to actually offer him an NFL job next year. But I think he's gone.
I think he's not liked. Otherwise, he'd have an NFL job.
Kind of feel that way too. Yeah, very true. And getting to the schedule, and I was looking at Michigan's schedule, and they play at the end of the year. It's their toughest 3 games. They play Maryland, they play Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State to finish out the year. And my compliment for Maryland comes in because I was looking at that and I was thinking, okay, number 1 school in the Big Ten, Michigan or Ohio State, one of those two. Then Penn State, I would say, is number 3 after those two. Maryland has to be number 4, right? I can't think of anyone.
Wisconsin.
I don't think Wisconsin. There's too many question marks, at least right now. Just thinking about right now, I think there's too many question marks at Wisconsin. They could be.
Dude, they got a great running game and a great coach.
No, and they got a great quarterback from SMU.
Agree. They did get some pieces, but I mean, we still don't know how that's all going to come together in year 1. I think there's too many problems.
And Nebraska might be really good this year with a good coach.
Very true.
They most of their games they lost by 6 points or less last year, and a lot of that's due to coaching.
And they've got a new quarterback too that transferred in from I think Georgia Tech. I forget the dude's name, but I watched some of his highlights. He's good.
I think that there's going to be a lot of parity in the Big Ten this year. So it'll be interesting if people are Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State are going to be able to not lose because. Usually most of those other games are kind of a joke, but this year looks like, there could be a decent amount of high quality games. So there might be more slip ups than usual. And then Penn State might just jump out and be number 1 this year because they're supposed to have a loaded team too. So I'm really interested to see but we've heard that before, I just don't think their coach is good enough to get them over the top, but we'll see.
Maybe not, but Mudfoot, best wishes to Aaron Scott for 11 out of the 12 games a year. I know which game he's talking about that he doesn't want him to have his best wishes for.
The Maryland game.
The Maryland game. I don't think that's it. But, very true. Oh, we could have used Aaron Scott because secondary after Will Johnson leaves. Well, Will Johnson's a sophomore this year.
Yeah,
so
he's still 2 years.
He'll be a junior next year. Really, I mean, if you're looking at weaknesses for Michigan, it's that second corner. It's that second corner position. And they've got a guy who they're calling, Jim Harbaugh called a unicorn, and he's giving all kinds of JJ type hype to that corner. And he's a converted receiver. His name's Amarian Walker. He's going to be the second corner. Well, during the spring game, some new receiver I've never heard of came out and just licked him. I mean, he caught every ball on this new unicorn corner and scored like 3 touchdowns on the guy. And so he is a converted receiver, so you give him some time. But we needed Aaron Scott. I know he wasn't going to play this year, but we still needed that dude.
Hey, let me ask you, why are you showing us your bourbon, but you're not actually – what are you drinking there?
Oh, yeah. The bourbon's just for show. This is actually uncaffeinated tea.
That's what I thought. Why are you not drinking the bourbon?
I could have said this was bourbon, but someone probably saw the tea bags.
That much bourbon? That seems like a lot of bourbon.
Yeah, I just drink it like that.
Why are you not drinking the bourbon?
I like to do that after, right before a nightcap. Yeah.
After the perfect
I get alcohol makes me flushed.
Yeah.
I get all weird. Yeah. I probably have an allergic reaction to it. So I like to do that. I like to have allergic reactions in private.
You have alcohol flush syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
You're Asian, apparently.
But another piece of the puzzle. So Michigan's biggest weakness is the secondary. I think we can all agree in that second corner spot. I think they'll have a strong secondary, but that second corner spot is their biggest weakness. But man, if you look at the schedule, unless Nebraska turns out to be awesome, it's those last 3 games that they're even going to be tested through the whole year in the secondary. It's going to be Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State. And they've got a lot of time to get that second corner right. So that's where the hope comes from there.
I have a feeling that you will not be worried about the Maryland secondary.
No. Michigan secondary against Maryland, because Maryland is going to have a strong pass.
You will not be worried probably about Maryland's receivers either, because they all left. Yeah.
Well,
you're right. I misspoke.
They still got a good quarterback though.
Yeah, I mean, we got transfers who came in who, were decent at other schools, but it's yet to be seen whether they're going to be able to compete with the Ohio States and Michigans of the world. We'll see.
Yeah.
It seems to
I think
me
they're
like
number four team in the Big Ten right now.
Ooh, I'd be happy with that.
The big problem that Maryland has had over the years is that they can get like a good offense. They can, play occasionally, good pass defense, but a lot of times that run defense against the bigger teams, they don't have the guys that can hold up on the defensive line.
Well, we lost 2 four-star transfers. One to Arkansas, and I can't remember where the other one went. But yeah, I was pretty upset about that. So our D line, it's not better than it was last year. Let's put it that way. It's gonna be probably it's probably gonna be
brutal losses.
Hey, come on, let's end the main segments on a high note for Maryland. Number 4 in the Big Ten. Number 4.
I don't think that they're going to be number 4 at all. I think they're going to be like 6 or 7.
Yeah, I would
be
say
nice
6.
to Diego.
Nice.
Look at his background.
Honest.
I would say 6. We'll probably be 6.
Yeah.
6.
So Ohio State and Michigan, Penn State, and then I'm going to say Wisconsin, and then I'm going to say Nebraska. I don't know. I mean, Iowa's usually decent. Like Iowa or Purdue might be good.
Purdue just lost their quarterback, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, Maryland, if they're 6, that would be decent. I don't know, maybe 7.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I don't disagree. We're middling.
Yeah. With the comment and those automotive paint and restoration. Yeah. He's right. They are wildly inconsistent.
Yeah. I'll tell you
dangerous.
This. If we beat Michigan or Ohio State, I don't give a shit where we finish, because I will talk so much shit to you guys the entire year. I'll be on every episode talking shit every single second. And you guys,
Diego, if that happens, you're not invited back. You won't be getting an invitation to the show.
No, hold on. You'll look like a petty loser if you don't.
We'll talk about it. We just won't. We'll say Diego can't make it today. No one will know.
If you don't put me on the following week, you'll look like a petty loser, right?
I'm okay with that. I am a petty loser. All right. Speaking of that, let's get to our last segment, epic moments in the game. This is something new that we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and show a clip of what we all probably consider an epic moment in the game in the Michigan versus Ohio State rivalry. I'd love to do this on every single show and video that we do, is to end it with one scene, take a look at the scene, see who remembers it. Anyone in the chat, when I play this clip, throw it up there if you remember the year that it was played. And then want to get your guys' thoughts after we play it. And I want to know where you were, what your thoughts are, like what kind of feelings are drummed back up. I know what kind of feelings are going to be drummed up for me, but let me go ahead and play this because this is just awesome. I like it going back in time.
You had 20 minutes to figure this out before the show. There we go.
It's just going slow. Here we go.
Martin Wells out of the eye. Wells over the right side, got the first down.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Touchdown, Ohio State.
They almost got him.
They didn't almost get him. No one was even close to him. That looked like Donovan Edwards in one of his runs.
Yeah, that would have been more of a Donovan Edwards run had it not started on the 45 or whatever it was.
Oh God! Well, thanks to our Honor Defend for posting that video. I don't know if it's legal for us to play this on YouTube. I didn't look it up. So if YouTube is going to ding me with their algorithm Gestapo, I'm sure I'll hear about it. But Nate, in any case, thank you, our Honor Defend, for posting.
Nate,
that.
your attorney says it's fair use.
Oh, good.
Well, I know, but even when it is fair use, they still sometimes take it down. But.
No, and most of the time it is not fair use. I'm just saying.
I don't know what that means.
Your defense would be fair use, assuming that's accurate.
I skipped that class in law school, so
yes,
I believe you.
Yes.
But so, Matt, what memories does that conjure up? Like the moment, what was happening in that game, at the year, like before and after?
I think the video would have been better had you started it with Jim Tressel's promise before the season started when he was hired as coach that year. And, basically guaranteed a win against Michigan.
That was an epic moment in the game all by itself, that speech. That maybe we'll do that later on.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. And I'm surprised that not many other coaches have done that, really. You don't ever see other coaches at other schools ever making proclamations like that when they get hired. But that was pretty epic. It just sort of felt like from that moment on, I was like, I'm guessing from the next 20 years, we're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of how I felt in like the reverse feelings of it all. And I remember when I was watching that play sticks out to me because like Michigan had dominated the series before that, totally dominated. The year before, Michigan went to Ohio State with Drew Henson and all those awesome receivers like David Terrell and just licked the Buckeyes. I think even before in this game, you guys had Steve Bellisari was really the quarterback. And I had never even heard of Craig Krenzel.
Right.
I came into this game thinking it was a lock. They're at Michigan. Like Steve Bellisari got a DUI. I'm sure Jim Tressel had nothing to do with that.
Because he's a conspiracy theorist. He thinks that Jim Tressel called up the Columbus cops and got him a DUI so Krenzel would start.
I don't think that happened. I know that happened.
Okay. Nate and his conspiracy theories are maddening, and this one just pile it onto the list. Pile it on the list.
But I mean, seriously, here's my mindset after this. I was thinking, okay, Buckeyes are playing a quarterback who couldn't beat out Bellisari. So this is even more of a lock to win in my mind. And Craig Krenzel played an awesome game. He didn't do anything awesome per se. He just completed some really awesome third down passes that were key. He ran for a few third downs. I just remember being so irritated with the Michigan defense that they couldn't stop this guy. And that play with Jonathan Wells running, that was, I think, their second touchdown, and it was just like all the wind. It was like getting hit in the stomach and getting your like the wind knocked out of you. It felt like, oh my God, like something is different. Like something is totally different in this rivalry now, and maybe that's how you felt too, Matt, at the time. But something felt really different when Jonathan Wells hit that touchdown. It was at Michigan.
Yeah. I mean, that was sort of the big thing with Tressel. Like he just all of a sudden we had an unbelievably dominant running game and an efficient passing game from then on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys. This is going way back and talking about Detroit Pistons, but I don't know if you guys remember the Pistons versus the Bulls feud.
Oh yeah,
back in like the early '90s with the Bad Boys and all that.
They
there was like
the Bulls.
Yeah, like after that had kind of happened, the Pistons were starting to get kind of old, and the Bulls were still young guns, and they were at Jordan and Pippen, and they were awesome. And like up until that point, I remember that Pippen was always really, really kind of scared of the Pistons, very scared, especially of I keep thinking Joe Dumars. Who's the crazy guy that goes to North Korea?
Dumars was tiny,
Bill Laimbeer?
Not Laimbeer. The crazy guy that goes to North Korea and hangs out with Kim Jong-un.
Oh, Dennis Rodman.
Rodman. Yes. There was a play. I remember this. It was like watching this play in this game. Dennis Rodman was going up to block Pippen, and Pippen dunked on his ass like hard. And that was like that moment, like Pippen like was all like he was happy. It was a big dunk. And it was like that moment where it was all over for the Pistons. And the Bulls did. They just took over at that point.
I would have. Go ahead.
Sorry,
I was going to say I was going to say the big play. Wouldn't the big play really have been Steinbrenner's wife getting Drew Henson to go play baseball instead of coming back in 2001?
If I had a video of Steinbrenner calling up like Drew Henson and giving him the $20 million contract to get him away from Michigan football, I would play that.
That was actually the play of the game, not Jonathan Wells.
Well, hold on. Wasn't Brady there at the time?
No,
Brady was
gone. 99. He was gone in 99.
Okay, so Henson went to go play baseball, and then who was the quarterback?
John Navarre.
Oh, Navarre.
So it was John Navarre and Mike Hart. Mike the Bike Hart.
No, it wasn't Mike Hart yet. It was Chris Perry.
By the way, all the great Ohio State teams and Craig Krenzel was a national champion quarterback.
Isn't that unbelievable?
No, it's not unbelievable. It's actually fits with my thesis that the quarterback, while the most important player on the field, does not solely decide games.
Jim Tressel played a different type of offense, though.
Yeah.
He was the run and punt type of offense.
Against Miami, he was the leading rusher. I mean, he had a lot of good conversions on third downs on just keeping it because we couldn't do much in the way of passing at all against Sean Taylor and company.
Yeah. I like Troy Smith. I think he was a lot better than people give him credit for.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites. He had some decent games against Michigan.
Yeah, I think they were all decent.
Yeah,
all of his games against Michigan.
He was a stud, and then he got drafted by the Ravens, I think, and he didn't do much in the NFL.
Well, he got hurt or something and had to sit out for a while, and then when he came back, I think what was his injury? What happened to him?
I don't remember.
Because he played a few games in backup and did well, and then he got the starting job, and after a few games, he had some sort. I don't know if it was a football injury or if he had like some sort of medical surgery or something, but he was never able to come back from that.
Back then, the NFL wasn't running the type of offenses that complemented like an athletic quarterback that also has passing skills. They just weren't doing that, and it kind of wreaked havoc on quarterbacks. I mean, if he came out now, he'd probably be a first-round quarterback, and he'd probably play really well in the NFL right now.
You never know.
I'm assuming he didn't get hurt.
Right. It just goes to show you that like Randall Cunningham and guys like that were way ahead of their time.
Totally.
Yeah.
Warren Moon.
Yeah. Well, Warren Moon wasn't as much of a runner as Randall was. I mean, Warren Moon was just a hell of a passer. I mean,
no one was like Randall, especially.
Warren Moon, I think what makes him interesting is he was a black quarterback that was given a chance in an era where a lot of black quarterbacks probably weren't going to be given a chance.
Yeah,
it's true.
So
well, guys, We're going to wrap this up because I've got to watch Love Island USA here at about 9 o'clock.
God,
so
turn in your man card.
I've got important things to do here.
Turn in your
10
man
minutes.
card right now.
So we're going to wrap this up. But thanks, Diego, for joining the MGO Bucks talk. At some point, I think we'll have you back if the Terps ever beat Michigan and Ohio State. But hopefully it's Ohio State they beat. We'll definitely have you on if they beat the Buckeyes. If you're Michigan, I can't make any promises.
Who is your first game this year, Diego and Nate? Because we play the Hoosiers.
We play Towson, I think.
Ooh.
We play someone who does not matter.
Yeah, we play.
We get a Big Ten game, the opening game. That's surprising.
It's really weird. It's really
not a hard Big Ten game, but
not
you do
a hard
have
one. But at least it's like someone with a pulse.
Yeah.
Oh wait, we didn't talk about one other thing. You guys were gonna talk about how my boy Talia was offered 1.5.
Oh yeah.
Good Lord, I was in the middle of the outro.
Yes, he turned $1.5 million down to play for the Terps, baby. Woo!
Allegedly.
Number one, allegedly. Number two, if that's true, that's pretty cool because who knows if he's going to get that money in the pros or not. I mean, he might. But I'm thinking, like you were saying before, Diego, he wants the legacy. He could set all sorts of records this year if he stays healthy.
Yeah. I mean,
Talia thinks that he's playing in the NFL. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't think that.
True. I mean, 5'11" now doesn't mean what it used to.
So. Nope. He's a good passer too.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm stopping this. We got to stop. Love Island is on in 8 minutes. I'm not missing that.
I can't believe you said that out loud.
I know. You could have just said, I have to go. I have prior engagement without embarrassing yourself.
I cannot tell a lie. I'm like George Washington.
Okay.
Exactly. So, all right, guys, thanks so much. Everyone in the chat, thanks so much for participating. We will be back soon. It's been a long time, but this was a lot of fun. More epic moments in the game coming up. So we'll talk to everyone later. Out.
Later.